All right, good morning, everybody. Today's topic is the listing appointment. So last week we talked about how to make a CMA. What?
Fine, how are you?
Last week we talked about how to make a CMA and come up with a valuation for the listing for the subject property. And so you're gonna print that out, you're gonna bring that along to your listing presentation or your listing appointment. So we're gonna talk about the things you're gonna learn are preparation, how to prepare for it. Get to know the seller, motivations, create the listing presentation, and we talked about that last week. And then the listing appointment flow, or just a flow of how your business is gonna go. And there's not one correct way of doing this. Everyone's gonna have their own style or their own flow or their own presentation they're gonna give. This is just to give you an idea of how you should prepare for it, and then what you should do during the listing appointment, right? When you're sitting down with the sellers of the property or the owners of the property. So before your listing appointment, learn everything you can about the potential client or the property and the neighborhood. So when they call you up, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, I'm thinking about selling my house. What do you think? And then you're gonna schedule an appointment. You might ask a few questions. We're gonna go over that in a little bit. But once you have their name, you have their address, you can look up social media and not like you're stalking them, but just look them up and see what are their interests. Do they have a family? Do they have a dog? Just so that you can talk about things that relate to them, right? When you're sitting down with them. Learn about the property. So you can search the tax records, search history in the MLS of when the property sold before, how much it sold for, just the layout of it, photos of the property, and find out about the neighborhood. You want to find out what the schools are in the neighborhood. You want to find out the HOA, what HOA amenities are in the neighborhood. So you want to become an expert in the shortest amount of time, right? Because you don't have time, depending on when you schedule this appointment, to find out as much as you can about this property. So you want to learn everything you can about all that stuff. So the goal is to position yourself as the best possible person to help your prospects sell their home. So you want to make sure that they, at the end of the appointment, they think that you're the best person to list their home, because they might interview 2 or 3 people, 4 people, right? They might interview 2, 3, 4 people. But you want to be the best one. You want to be the one that they end up signing with. And for that to happen, you'll need to know what the seller's motivations are. Remember, we're talking about finding out about the seller, information about the seller, while demonstrating a deep knowledge of the market. And this is why we're going to study the recent sales and what's on the market, and all that. Property type and area, so the neighborhood, HOA, schools, local schools, all that. So they can be happy with what you're gonna do for them, right? And then you're also gonna find out the time frame. And again, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, but these are just things that I want you guys to start thinking about now, is the motivations. So according to the National Association of Realtors, there's a trends report that says 21% of sellers that they surveyed want agents' help in marketing. They care about how are you gonna market my house to potential buyers? 20% of those people, they wanted a specific time frame. That was more important to them. 35% of the people that were surveyed, they wanted an agent with a good reputation, right? How many homes have you sold? I want to see reviews, testimonials, to show me your success stories, right? But 85% of them said the real estate agent provided a broad range of services. So that means that the realtor they were working with worked with sellers, worked with buyers, worked with landlords, with tenants. They knew an array of different services, right? It's not just I'm working with a listing agent, because the seller, they're gonna want to move somewhere, right? Maybe they want to buy something in the next neighborhood over, or they want to downsize or whatever it is. They still need a realtor to help them find a property. So sometimes you have agents that list and sell the property, and then after they sell it, they disappear. And then the homeowner's like, now what? I have to go and find another agent now, even though I'm comfortable with you. You know my whole story, and you know what I'm looking for because you've been my agent for this long. And now I have to go tell that to somebody else. That's not good. I mean, you want to keep keep that client in your Rolodex, keep them, let's face it, this person might send you some more business. So it's not just that person's business, right? It might be their son, their daughter, their sister, brother, it could be their parents. So it's not just about them. It could be repeat business, future business, referrals, right? So make sure that you don't give up on them. Questions that you want to ask are, these are just example questions. How long have you owned the property? Right? How does this help? It helps maybe with finding out maybe they're downsizing. And that's another question that might come up after this, right? Or maybe they're outgrowing the house. Or let's see, maybe the house is paid off, right? So there's a lot of reasons you might want to ask that question. Why are you selling? Right? Motivation. Again, are they downsizing? Are they looking for something bigger? Are they moving out of the state? Did they get a job in another city? What's the reason? Is there a day by which you want to be out? So time frame, we want to know, this is all going to help us in a future part of this presentation, where we talk about pricing and timing, right? If you price it right, it's going to sell quick. If you overprice it, it's going to sit on the market longer. Now, I'm a good example of that. I have a listing right now that's overpriced and sitting, and they don't want to drop the price. Have you renovated or remodeled your home? Made any repairs or improvements? This is important because these are all things you're going to add to the description of the MLS once you list the property. You want to know if they remodel, like, what's the flooring? How new is the flooring? How new is the roof? Everybody, for some reason, everybody asks about the roof. How old is the roof? People don't even know. They don't know real estate. They just come in and ask, how old's the roof? It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know why.
They're expensive.
I know, but like, that's the main thing. Even when people don't know the difference between, oh, we had a new roof replaced, we had it replaced 10 years ago. That's still a pretty good new roof, but people don't know that. Some people are like, oh, that's pretty old. No, it's not, but it's just, I don't know. I think it's a weird thing to ask. It's important to ask, but that's like the first thing that they ask. Anyway, I should have said that. You want to know like the flooring, the countertops. What kind of countertops? Is it granite counters? Is it marble counters? What kind of flooring? Is it travertine flooring? Wood flooring? I don't know. You're going to need a list of us because again, you're going to add it to the description of the property, and this is going to help when you're promoting the property, you're marketing it, because the bigger story you have about the property and more details you have, the more the consumer's going to know about it, right? Is anyone else on title? And can they be present during the listing appointment? This is important because you want all the decision makers there. Because you're going to take a listing contract with you, listing agreement with you. And if one person signs and the other one can't sign because they're not there, you don't have a listing contract. You do, but you can't sell the property without the other person's signature.
At this point, would you ask them who's on title, whether it's husband, wife, or if it's under like a trust name?
Well, so in the CMA class we talked about last week, we talked about pulling up a property profile to see who the owners are. And that's going to show you on the title profile who the owners are. So when you're talking to them on the phone, well, this is the initial call, right? These are all questions you might ask them. Some people have a questionnaire that they email the seller, the homeowner. So once they schedule an appointment, they say, I'm going to send you a questionnaire of questions I'm going to ask you when we sit down for our listing appointment, but I wanted to give you a heads up so you're able to answer this. And so you can do that, but so during the call, you're going to find out again. You can ask them during the call, or you can pull up the property profile, but I would still do both. Ask them and confirm it with the property profile, because some people aren't truthful. They might say that, oh, I'm the only person on title, or maybe it's in a trust and they just didn't tell you it's in the trust, or they forgot that it's in the trust. So it's important to know who's on title, who owns the property, and who gets signed for it. Another question asked, can you tell me what makes your home special? When you purchased the property, saying, what made you fall in love with the house? What was it about the house that you liked, right? That's a good question, right? Because now I'm interested in what you think about your house, because I want to highlight that about your house, because other people might like it for the same reason. Now, who do you think the ideal buyer would be for your house? Do you think it would be, and this is not discriminating, because we're not gonna market this as for a family home, it's a family home or it's an executive, it's for the single person. We're not doing any of that, but who do you think the ideal person is for this home? Well, it's 3 bedrooms, it's got a pool in the back, it's got, you know, it's got the earmarks for a family home, right? So maybe you might think I think a family would love this house. There's a park right around the corner, the school's like 2 blocks away. It's just, it's perfect. So, okay, now we know this is probably perfect for a family. We're gonna market it, but we cannot market it as great for a family because again, that's discrimination. But we're gonna highlight all those features that families are looking for. The park, the pool, the school, right? All these little things that make it, and gear it towards a family. What's important to you about the agent you use to sell your home? Again, it goes back to that, the report, right, that said, there's some homeowners that care about marketing. What's your marketing plan for my house? Some that care about, experience. How many homes have you sold? You know, this is gonna let you know what they're looking for. So it's gonna be a array of different things, but they're gonna tell you exactly what they're looking for. And this is a great question here. Have you worked with a listing agent in the past or with any agent in the past? And what was your experience? Is there anything that you liked or didn't like, or that you would have done differently with them? Or liked for them to do differently with you? This lets you know what their experience is with working with an agent, right? And if they've worked with an agent, what their expectations are, and what you expect from them. They already know what to do, what the process is. But maybe their agent never called them back. And they're gonna tell you that. They're gonna say, well, one thing I didn't like about my agent was I never got any calls back. They called me back 3-4 days later. These people are paying you a lot of money to sell their house. I mean, when it does sell, call them back, you know? This is your job. This is what, you know, I'm not saying call them like they just left you a message and call them back within 1 minute. I mean, if you're doing something, just a reasonable amount of time. So then you're gonna create your listing presentation after you had that initial phone call, got some preliminary questions out of the way. And we talked about key points to include in your listing presentation, comparative or comparable market analysis. Remember to compare apples to apples and the same neighborhood. You're not always going to have that. You might have a situation where someone came to me last week, I forgot who it was, where they wanted a property that was out in the middle of nowhere. And I think there were bigger lots and there was no comps that were exactly the same. So in that situation, it's gonna be different, but you wanna always try to compare, usually like within the city here, tract housing, right? Similar square footage, similar bedrooms. Doesn't always have to be the exact square footage, and it could be, if it's 3 bedrooms, it could be 3 to 4 bedrooms. As long as it's the same square footage or around the same square footage. You can price it by price per square foot if you don't have an exact match. So there's different ways of going about it. Pricing strategy, this is a big one for setting the price expectations to the sellers. Be sure to outline your approach and the evidence and data behind it. So if you are going to recommend a price or pricing strategy, make sure that you have the evidence to support why you're recommending a specific price, list price, and how much you think it'll sell for. So it might be good to give them a range. So I think your home can sell between this price and this price, this much and this much, but
On average, how big of a range would that be? Like 0.4 million?
it depends. It depends on the price and it depends on, you're not gonna give them this price until you tour the property. But you're gonna have a price in mind. You're gonna have a low end where it's not upgraded and a high end on like move-in ready, fully upgraded, and then there's all that in the middle. And that's gonna depend on what upgrades it needs or what upgrades it has. And then we're gonna compare it to the recent sales. And we're gonna have pictures of that in the CMA. Here are the ones that sold. These are the pictures of those properties. How does yours look compared to this? Right? This one sold for top dollar. They have brand new flooring, brand new everything. Yours has original everything. We can't price it like that. I mean, we can, it's just gonna sit on the market. Your marketing plan. this is gonna be very depending on your market, niche and unique approach, but whatever the situation, clear examples and stories of past wins can help impress potential sellers. So you wanna have a marketing plan. We have a, I guess, seller's presentation in CB Desk. I wanted to show that to you guys. So aside from your CMA, the CMA is gonna have all the comparable properties and the charts and everything, but where is it? I wanted to show you guys this. You can download this from my CB Desk. And just delete the slides you don't want to use, but this just talks about Coldwell Banker and how great Coldwell Banker is and where we are around the world, all those different countries. That's pretty impressive. And we have over 100,000 agents. Look at that. This we don't participate in, so you can delete these 2 slides, revitalize. Photography, we're gonna hire a professional photographer to photograph your home. Advertising, agent promotion, open house, all these different things, right? That are gonna be included in the marketing. And we're gonna market it on the internet. We have the #1 most visited real estate brand online. And here's the stats for that. Online exposure, it's also gonna go into these other websites among hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of other websites that show listings. Single property website, when you list with me, I'm also gonna create a single property website for you. And this is all included with the tools that Coldwell Banker provides. Once you have your listing, it automatically creates a single property website. Social media, I'm going to market it via social media. So you guys get the picture, right? This is a marketing plan of what you're gonna do for them, email marketing, virtual property tour, all this stuff. So you can find this on mycbdesk.com. And let me show you where you can find it. When you log into mycbdesk.com, you're going to go over to, I believe it's marketing. It's not marketing, it is my business. And then buyers and sellers. And then you're going to download the seller's presentation right here. And it's a PowerPoint presentation and you can modify and make it your own. So as far as marketing plan, that is that's pretty cool. Let's go to the next one here. Where were we? All right. So then a summary of the process. The seller should be able to clearly understand steps you're going to take to achieve their goal, sell their home. Right after everything you talked to them about, they have a good understanding of what you're going to do for them and what the process is going to be. You also want to include a net sheet. A net sheet's going to let them know how much they're going to net at the end of the sale. Right? It's going to show all the fees and it's going to be an estimated net sheet. So you can print out a couple different ones based on different pricing. And even
I was always confused on that part, because if you have a range in your head, you know, they might have another dollar amount. And you
Yeah.
pre-print all the stuff, and it's like none of them is coming up with really the number that they want. Would it be better just to come with a blank sheet? Do it
well, you can have it printed out in case that's the price that we're thinking. If it doesn't, you don't have to pull those out, but you can download the Lawyer's Agent app. Yeah, I think I have it, but you just can't see it.
And just do it in front of them.
Yeah, and you can enter what the listing price should be, commissions and whatever, right? And how much they're gonna net at closing or estimate. So you guys can download the Lawyer's Agent app. And then pull up a net sheet, a seller's net sheet. That's a very good tool. Because a lot of people wanna know, how much am I gonna walk away with after the sale? It's called Lawyer's Agent 1, I believe. And 1 is spelled out. Any questions on this? Okay. What to bring to your listing appointment? Bring your laptop or tablet, if you're gonna do a digital listing presentation. Because the Cloud CMA allows you to do a digital presentation. But if not, print out a hard copy of your CMA and your marketing plan. And print out an extra copy for yourself of the CMA. Because you're not gonna wanna be sitting next to them going like this, oh yeah, look at this page here, look at this page, and be over their shoulder, right? Sorry about that. So you're gonna look at yours and say, go to page 2, and then, you know, in page 2, you'll notice this, and go to the next page, and, you know, you can walk through the presentation with them. Bring a suggested list price range between this price and this price, based on the evidence that you can show them, right? Not just, this is what I think. There's a story of one of our agents, he said that there was a homeowner that was interviewing a few different agents, and one of the agents been doing it for a long time. He walked into the listing appointment, and he's looking around the house, just walking around. I think we can list it for this price. Didn't have any paperwork or anything, no evidence to back up what he's saying. He just came up with a price. And it's like, how did you come up with that price? Why would you list it? And the actual market price, based on the comps, was different. It was, I think, $100,000, $200,000 off. But just to walk in and say, yeah, I think this is how much, like, who the hell are you?
Who did the seller select? That agent? or
Not that agent, our agent. Yeah. But, yeah, so make sure you have the evidence to back up what you're saying. Net sheets, again, a few different scenarios. And the lawyer's agent 1 app. And either a calculator or use your calculator on your phone, because you're gonna have to come up with a few calculations possibly. And a listing agreement. That's very important. A blank listing agreement, so you can fill it out there in front of them. Maybe some, yeah,
I've heard like some people like have signing it immediately there, and then some like no wet signature. And then some agents said, I'll send it to you electronically so that you can read it thoroughly. So that the client doesn't get too much pressure to read. So
you
what
can
do
ask them, because some of them, they've already been through this. A lot of them, especially in Irvine, a lot of homeowners have been through the buying process. They've bought and sold, bought and sold, bought and sold. So they already know the process. But if that's what they want to do, you can leave a copy with them and say, you know, go ahead and read through it. I can come back tomorrow and pick it up. Or I can email it to you. It doesn't matter, but you don't want to walk out of there without a signature, because they can change their mind, or someone else might call them. And I mean, you're gonna leave a copy of the listing contract anyway. So with the listing contract, make sure you bring a copy to leave with them. So, you know, they know exactly what they signed. Anything that they sign, that any of your clients sign, they should have a copy of. So make sure you give them a copy of anything that they sign. And maybe you want to bring some cookies or brownies or something, a small gift with you to the listing appointment, just as a, you know, good gesture. Maybe break bread with them, you know, or break cookies with them. And bring your listening ears. Sometimes we want to share, let them know all the knowledge that we know of, right? Like we want to show them how smart we are. This is all the information I have. I'm the best agent in the world. I know all the data about all the sales in the last year and all the, everything that's active and all the schools and all the blah, blah, blah. I know all the stuff. And then the seller's just sitting there like, okay, how long is this gonna take? So you want to talk, you want to listen to the seller, right? Because, and again, this goes back to even if you plan the flow to go a certain way, it might not go that way. You might not have to bring out all these guns, right? Oh, you might have to just sit there. How are you doing today? Oh, this is a lovely house. How long have you owned it for? Oh, I've owned it for 30 years. You know, my kids lived here, and they grew up and they moved out and they went to college, and they go on and on and on and on and on and on. Then you ask questions about their family. Oh, so where are your kids now? Oh, they live blah, blah, blah. Oh, do they have kids? Yeah. Oh, so now you're talking about something that they care about, right? And you're being genuine about it. And sometimes that's all it takes, just that connection. People want to hire you because they trust you, because they connect with you, right? Sometimes they don't want to work with you because that, like, I have nothing in common with you. I feel uncomfortable with you because you sound way too smart, or, you know, you're not as smart as me, or whatever the reason may be. And for either of those, if I'm too smart or you're too smart, that connection is always going to work, right? Not always, but most of the time it's going to work. So listen, because sometimes when you're listening and they're telling you all about their family, they might just, after 30 minutes, so how much do you think it's worth? And then you can say, well, let's take a tour of the house and let's see if there's anything that needs to be fixed, or show me any upgrades that you made or any remodels. And then you sit down, I think this much, or what are your thoughts, right? Okay, when can we list it? And then you don't have to go through your whole presentation. You just say, here's the listing contract, when would you like to start? So it doesn't always have to go this way, but plan on going in this direction, and then just go with the flow, right? It might take you in a different direction. And there's some agents that say you have to control the presentation so it goes the way you want it to go, and it's like, no, I think that's wrong. So be ready to change the flow, or just go with the flow. Touring the home. A common mistake agents make, and this is again, there's not one correct way of doing it, but this is something that was on the, they go straight into the property tour. And it's like, as soon as you walk in the house, show me your house. No, okay, well. So what I recommend is that you sit down with them, have a little conversation with them first. Go over some of the questions that you talked to them on, or went over on the phone with them. And then, hey, let's take a look at your house. Okay, take a look at the house. Okay, so now that I've looked at the house, here's the comps and here's what the pictures are of these properties and blah, 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 right? You're gonna go into that. So you reconvene back at the starting point. Gonna go over all your information, your marketing plan, your strategy, everything you're gonna do for them. And so this is the flow, right? This is the ideal flow. It's gonna be different for you, because once you do it, then you're gonna say, no, that doesn't work for me, I wanna do it differently. So introductions, you walk in, hi, I'm Carlos Rodriguez, nice to finally meet you in person. You have a lovely home, you sit down, you discuss their goals, their needs, everything that you talked about over the phone. All the questions that we talked about, if you didn't ask them on the phone, maybe you can ask them there. So, when would you like to sell? Why are you selling? Blah, blah, blah. We spoke on, when we spoke, you mentioned that this was important to you. And then kind of summarize what they said, so they could see that you were listening. Okay, so you don't have to say, so like you're asking the question again, it's like, wait, I already told you, why are you asking me again? Are you not paying attention? Right? I don't know. So you're gonna summarize what you guys talked about before. Ask for a guided tour of the property. Reconvene at the meeting spot. I'm really, nobody talks like this, but I'm really excited to expose your amazing home to the market and generate a solid pool of buyers who want to compete with each other for it. Let me show you how we can do that with a mixture of marketing, paid advertising, and leverage. Nobody talks about that, but you guys get the idea. So now it's time to head to the next step of the presentation. Ask the seller if they have any idea how much they want to list for. So after you've gone through all your presentation, everything, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, do you have an idea of how much you want to list it for? Sometimes they'll say, well, that's why I called you. I have no idea. You're the expert. I'll do whatever you recommend. And some of them might say, well, the neighbor's house sold for 2 million, so I want 2 million for mine. And it might just be that simple. Or they might say, well, Zillow says that my home is worth this much. But then you're gonna have to tell them how Zillow isn't always correct. They go based on a 1 mile radius or whatever radius around the subject property, and they average out whatever the sales were recently for that area. It might not be apples to apples comparison, but that's why you're hiring me, because I can do that. I have the information that you need to price your home right. So if they say a specific price and you're agreeable on the price, you're like, hey, that's exactly around what I wanted listed at. Cover the paperwork and skip the market analysis and go for the signature. You don't have to present any other evidence, right? And again, in this example here, they didn't talk about the comparables yet. So you can ask them before you show comparables or after you show comparables. You can ask them both times, right? So you can ask them at the beginning before you show them the comparables. Hey, so what did you have in mind as far as listing your home? want to see if we're on the same page. Oh, I want to look at this. Okay, let's look at the comparable properties. Now that you've seen that, how much do you think you want to list your home for now? Right? You can do it that way. Or you can just show them the comparable properties and then ask them after. So there's not an exact way. You're gonna figure out your own way of how to do this. But trying to get you guys to think, right? So if the list price is not realistic, or let's say, show them the CMA listing presentation, discuss the comparable sales, and talk about the upgrades that the other properties have versus the ones they have, or the lack thereof. Right? And then you can let them know, hey, like this property did reduce their price 3 times because they overlisted or overpriced it at the beginning, and it sat on the market for this long. So you're gonna use, on the report, it's gonna show you average days on market. It's gonna show you how long each property took to sell, and it's gonna show you the pricing for each one. And that tells a story. It says, look, this person priced it at the correct market, listing, market price, and they sold it in 7 days. This person sold it for, or listed it for, $60,000 over, and it sat on the market for 30 days. That tells a story, doesn't it? If you price it right, it's gonna sell right away. If you don't, it's gonna take longer to sell, and it didn't sell for what they asked for it, they reduced it 3 times. Bottom line, if they wanna sell right away, you're gonna list it at market price, or maybe below market price, just get people to outbid each other. If they don't care about how long it takes, like my client, they said, oh, we don't have to sell, it's paid off, it's been vacant for 15 or 16 years, we don't have to sell it, this is how much we want for it, then it's gonna sit there, right? So,
So I have a question about that. I ran into, I have a buyer, and then there were like there's 2 listings, I went to go look at the houses. And both the houses were priced over recent comps in my opinion, right? So I could tell in conversation with the listing agent was a little bit desperate to sell the house, because both of them told me that they paid for the staging of the house. But the sellers about to take, on one situation, sellers about to take the house off the market because they didn't get the price they wanted. It's like 100,000 over asking, over comps basically, right? So, I'm wondering, in the market that we're in right now, I know it's all negotiable, whether a seller is gonna pay for staging or if the listing agent's gonna pay for staging. But if you have a client who has a little bit unreasonable price that they want, what do you do with the staging situation? If you pay.
my situation,
Yeah,
I had the sellers pay for the staging.
the sellers pay.
The sellers pay for the staging, they pay for 3 months. But what you can do is, if, it depends on the commission they're paying too, right? So
Yeah.
if they're paying you 3%, then you might say, I'll pay for staging.
Sure.
But if the home doesn't sell and you don't relist it with me, you're gonna reimburse me for that.
So
There's a way that you can add that into the
that's
listing
what I
contract.
was wondering.
Yeah, there's a
could you
way-
Offer to pay for staging, but write an addendum or something.
Yeah, you can just write it into the listing contract. There's a additional term section.
And you just write, if property does not sell in X amount of months, seller to reimburse.
Yeah.
Agent for the cost of staging.
And that's, I think, is,
Is that a fair ask, you think?
Yeah.
In our market?
Yeah. why not?
And how do you approach that with the seller? Do you say, well, because you're selling it at this price, it's kind of over what?
No, so
people are paying
I
for?
think when you're talking about commission, right, when they say, well, the other agents want to do it for 2% or 1%. So, well, I'm willing to do it for 2% as well, but I'm not gonna include staging.
Okay.
Is that agent including staging with the 2% they're offering? No? Okay, if I'm gonna do staging, I want 3%. I think that's fair. Because if it doesn't sell, I'm losing money, but not really, because you're gonna ask them to reimburse you for it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
So, yeah.
So just loop it all in during the commission.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. That's something that might come up, right, during the listing presentation. The seller might ask for staging, but usually the seller lives in the property in a lot of cases, so it's already furnished, so you don't have to do staging. But in some cases, maybe there was a tenant in there and they remodeled the home and they're gonna sell it, and then they want it staged.
Maybe it's like you just need a partial stage or something.
Yeah, like on my listing, I had, 4-room stage, the living room, family room, master bedroom and dining room, that's it. And then the other 2 bedrooms, just left them, leave it to their imagination. So, yeah, some of them might ask for staging, some of them might not, some are gonna ask you, do you think the staging is beneficial? And yeah, so there's a study out there that shows that, homes that were staged got, what was it? 10% more than those that were not staged,
And will the stager, when they do partial?
something like that.
I think you're right, I read that too.
Yeah.
With partial staging, will they just bring up, like, what if they have furniture, but the walls are all empty? They'll just bring in rooms, basically.
They'll stage it based on,
Whatever
they
they
will
need.
partially, and they price it accordingly too. So the more furniture they bring in, the more they're gonna charge you, the less they bring in, the less they will charge.
And our stagers right now doing 90-day contracts or 60,
No, most of them are doing 60-day contracts.
60-day contracts.
Yep. The ones that I called were 60 days, and then I found the one that did 90 days.
We found one with 90
Yeah, she was cheaper than the price for 60
or
days.
60 days.
Yeah. Price was less for 90 days than the other ones for
Yeah.
60 days.
They're only doing for 60 days right now?
Yeah.
And then you have to renew it and sell in 60 days, even though the days of the market right now is around 60 days.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on here. Present your marketing and advertising strategy. God, this is. Oh, man.
Discuss the listing terms and that's your signature.
Discuss the listing terms and ask for a signature. And listing terms are listing price, the commission, the duration of the listing, so from this date to this date. And then, maybe things like what's included in the property. Are there any liens, is there a solar panel, or is there anything that's leased that's on the property? Things like that, so, but. And, well, let's move on here. Alright. So again, sometimes the flow of the visit is gonna take on a life of its own, so be able to adjust on the fly. The seller might not need all the information you're ready to present, and we talked about that. Maybe they just wanna talk. A lot of these older homeowners, they just wanna talk about their home and how great it is and all the memories they have and okay, we're ready to list. And you don't have to do all that, right? But you have to be prepared to just know that information. You should know, and I don't think I talked about this enough. You should know what sold in the area, at least in the last 3 or 4 months, at least. If you can, know what's sold in the last year. Know what's on the market, know what's in escrow. And then maybe even tour some of the properties that are on the market. Right, so contact the listing agent or schedule a showing to go look at these other properties that are around the corner or 2 blocks down. And take a look at them, so that way you know what they look like, so when you're sitting down with this homeowner, you say, oh yeah, I've been to that house and they have blah, 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 and they have, all this new stuff and whatever, go down the list of what they have. And, or you could say, you know what, the pictures look better than the actual property does in person, so yours looks way better. Right, and yours looks way more upgraded or whatever it is. But that way you have the firsthand knowledge of what that property looks like, because you've been there. Some will want to know, what do you charge? Talked about that, commission. Charge 3%. For 3%, what do you include? Well, you already went through all the marketing. And that's why if they ask you about pricing right away, we'll talk about that. I want to show you everything that I have to offer. You're gonna go through your marketing plan and everything you're gonna do for them. And that's what this checklist is for that I gave you guys. That shows all the things. I don't know if I have it, you have it over here, so you guys at home can see it. And I've shown this to you before. But listing management checklist, pre-listing, so listing appointment, discuss client goals. Let's go to post-listing. So after you get the listing, these are all the things you're gonna do. Say, look, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. So Just opening here on their own. Schedule a staging company, schedule a photographer, review market activity, so. You're gonna go through all this stuff that you're gonna do for them. I'm gonna put a for sale sign in the front of the house. I'm going to send out just listed postcards to the neighborhood. I'm gonna hire a photographer, meet the photographer there, have some flyers, property flyers made. Everything you're gonna do for them, even the smallest things, because the more things that you add to it, the more it looks like you're doing for them, right? Because it is, you're doing a lot for them. And you're not getting paid for it until it closes. So I don't think a lot of people realize that. Next question, how much can you sell my home for, right? These are all questions they're gonna ask you. What is your marketing plan? We talked about that. Hopefully you have that. You can use this checklist. You can create your own marketing plan on what you're planning on doing. Do you have any buyers for my house? They might ask you that. Because a lot of these times, these homeowners, they get calls from agents. Hey, are you thinking about selling your house? I have a buyer that's looking, or they'll get postcards that says, I have a buyer looking to buy your house. And it's not true. They don't have a buyer for the house. They're just fishing to see if they're willing to sell. And then the seller says, the agent ends up saying, oh, I don't really have a buyer for your house. They're looking for something different than your house. But are you thinking of selling? Hey, I'll list your property and sell it. Right? So this is a way of fishing. But so they can ask you, hey, do you have any buyers for my house? At the moment, I don't. But I'm gonna market the hell out of it and get some buyers for you. How long will it take to sell my home? And again, because you have the data here, you can say it depends on the listing price, right? Take time to answer the questions and address any concerns. So another thing that I want to bring up is when you're going to the listing presentation, forget about anything you have going that day. Don't think about, oh, I gotta pick up the kids at 2 o'clock, or I gotta go to soccer practice, or oh, I have a dinner I have to go to. Forget about any of that stuff. Clear your mind of that, because you don't want to be distracted. You want to be in the moment, you want to be present, you want to be focused on any questions that they have for you. And you want to be able to answer quickly without being distracted by something else, right? Or you don't want to be listening to their story about their family and you're drifting off into like, oh God, I gotta go, I gotta walk the dog, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. You want to be focused on what you're doing. So at the end, you want to summarize your game plan. Example. So I can send my photographer out on Tuesday or Wednesday, which one works best for you, right? So you're going over what you're gonna do after, they sign the contract, or even before. I'm gonna have the for sale sign out on the front lawn by Friday. The list is gonna be entered into MLS, social media, and my website by Friday. So everything's gonna happen on, mostly everything on Friday. We're gonna send out the photographer Tuesday or Wednesday. I should have the pictures by Friday, so I'll be able to design the flyers, have everything out. So you're going over all this with them. Oh, and we're gonna do the first open house on Saturday and Sunday, right after we put it on the market. So you're already showing them, look, we're doing this. I already have a plan, right? So after the listing presentation, you've made it to the listing presentation, and hopefully you won the listing. Congratulations, you guys got the listing. If you listen like a friend and handle objections with ease and empathy, and kept the presentation focused firmly on their needs, not your commission, you're probably holding a signed listing agreement in hand, right? But regardless of the outcome, remember to always thank the seller for their time. So whether they say, we're gonna think about it, or we decide we're gonna go with somebody else or whatever, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Don't be mad, don't be like, oh, just thank them. Any questions? No questions. I want to show you guys hopefully these videos here. So, Coldwell Banker University. Oh, right here. Let's look at this one really quick. This is just like a little quick example of what a listing presentation could look like.
Jamie and Cameron, thank you so much for the opportunity to meet with you. I'm excited to get this house on the market and get it sold. And thank you for sending me the video of your home. I'd like to begin by learning even more. Can you take me on a tour and share what you love about it?
Yeah, sure. We'll also point out some of the improvements we've made.
Great! Let's start with the outside and work our way to the kitchen.
Sounds great.
Thank you for showing me the property. Just to clarify your situation, your goal is to move closer to family out of state within the next 3 months, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're thinking you'd be able to get more than $550,000, right?
That's right.
Yeah, she's summarizing everything? It's good, right? That means she listened.
A property not as nice as ours sold a few months back for $550,000.
Oh yes, and you'll see that property in my analysis. Some of the great things about working with me are that I am very knowledgeable about this neighborhood and market. I understand how properties need to be marketed to find buyers, and I create pricing strategies based on your needs and time frame with the sale. We'll talk about all three: price, marketing, and my track record.
So pricing strategy, it could be if you need to sell it fast, we're gonna price it lower. If you don't care about how long it takes, then you can list it for whatever you want, right? I mean, within reason.
And experience. I'll allow the sellers to dictate the starting point. Yesterday, you shared that marketing was most important to you. I brought my marketing plan and I emailed it to you yesterday. Not sure if you had a chance to look at it. Would you like to start there?
I don't want to admit that I'm most interested in price, so I'll say marketing. Marketing sounds like a good place to start.
Time to plant the seed for my unique value. Before I list some of the unique strategies I will implement to market your property, let me share the basic marketing I and most other agents do. Just like other agents, I will list in the MLS, which automatically syndicates to thousands of real estate websites. I'll put it on social media and create a flyer to send to my database. Your property will be one of the 30,000 properties in the MLS where there are 7,000 agents. With those numbers, it takes a bit of luck that the right agent sees your property at the right time. You wouldn't want to leave the sale of your property up to chance, would you?
No way. This is a big move for us.
Now, I'll tell them how I go above and beyond other agents. I'll proactively identify the top 20 agents who sold similarly priced properties in your community last year and personally check in to see if they have any buyers, and will keep the property in mind. Reaching out to the agents who specialize in this market will create more demand and more showings than the MLS will create. The more showings I can get for your property, the faster it will sell. Not only will I reach out to the top agents in this community to tap into their buyers, I will also proactively reach out to my buyers. I did some research and identified 76 buyers actively searching for properties on our website. Once I list your property, I will text or email them a link. Then I will personally call them to tell them about your property. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Great. They are on board with marketing. Now it's time to talk about price. I know if I give them only one price, they'll be more likely to say they will think it over. So I'll give them 3 options, so they will be more likely to choose one. Based on this information, I think we would agree that your property could sell anywhere from $550,000 to $650,000, and the difference between getting $550,000 and $650,000 is time. And it's almost impossible to time the market. The data tells us the properties at the lower end of this range sold faster. If you are more motivated by time, we will go to the lower range. If you are more motivated by money, we will go with the higher range. And if you prefer a blend, we will go with the middle price. What strategy do you feel would work best?
I'd say we're motivated by both. Listing in the middle at $590,000 feels right.
That's pretty sneaky, right? 550 or 650? I really want them to list at 600,000. How am I gonna get them there?
What do you think, Cameron?
Yeah, that is a great price. It can hopefully get us where we need to be in our time frame.
From everything I've learned so far about your goals, I can see why you chose that option. They said yes to my marketing, pricing, and timing strategies. It's the perfect time to ask them to sign the listing agreement. Are you ready to take a look at my listing agreement? Signing this document solidifies our relationship and commitment to selling your home.
Okay, let's do it.
First, I'll be transparent about how I will get paid, as well as discuss how buyer's agents are compensated.
Great. I was wondering about that.
I'm glad I had a conversation with my broker about our compensation options before this appointment. These documents outline the terms of our agreement and the percent commission I will earn for the sale of your house. Separately, here, we recommend that you offer to compensate the buyer's agent in some amount. Typically, buyers will have.
So just so you guys know, on our listing contracts, we don't offer compensation to the buyer's agents. That changed. So this might have been before that.
Signed representation agreements in X% with their buyer agents, but many buyers cannot afford this out of pocket and are unable to finance a brokerage commission. So, some buyers may find listings that are offering to pay these costs on their behalf to be more appealing than others. This strategic marketing move can open doors to a broader network of buyers and a smoother transaction that is more likely to end up at the closing table. And of course, whether to offer this compensation and the amount is completely your choice.
We want to get our listing in front of as many people as possible.
Great. All of these documents are already filled out. We just need to go through them, have you sign, and we'll get this house on the market. Together, we will choose a strategy, and I will execute on that strategy immediately. I want you to feel comfortable and confident that I will stay in communication with you. Do you have a preference for email, calls, or text?
All work fine.
Great. I will email you the showings report every week and will call with updates every Tuesday, if not more often. And at any point when anything changes in the market that might impact this sale, rest assured that I will call you and we will revisit our conversation. Does that sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, great. Let's get started right away.
What did you guys think of that?
That's good.
Was it? They make it look so easy, right? But one thing you guys should realize and just keep in mind is you're the expert, right? They called you because you're the expert. You're the one who's in this field, and they're counting on you. So yeah, I understand it's scary. Might not feel very confident going into it at first, but just know that they called you because you're the expert. I mean, you're sitting down with them, providing information and telling them what their home is worth, and they're counting on you to lead them, in the right direction with everything. So, yeah, you might be lacking confidence, but remember, you're part of Coldwell Banker, which is one of the biggest brands in real estate in the world. So that's instant credibility. Keep that in mind when you're going. Maybe like some of these people say on these videos, listen to some music that is going to pump you up on the way there. I want to show you guys a couple of these other videos too. Let me see. Let's do this one. Mindset before a listing presentation.
So what do I do to get ready for a listing presentation?
You
Oh my
do it.
goodness.
In advance to any kind of listing presentation, you really want to open up with some positivity. So being able to put yourself in that state of mind through music or conversation in advance is really important.
I think one of the funnest things to do on the way to a listing presentation is just tell each other one of our biggest failures, just in a personal life, one of really painful experience that just gets you laughing because you know it's going to be better than that, so it'll just bring you up.
Even after 26 years in this business, before I go into sit down with a seller, I will still practice what I'm going to say. I review my questions that I've collected from them, their answers actually, from that pre-listing interview to make sure that I'm hitting the high points.
Before I go to a listing appointment, not only do I have the comparables and all of the data on paper to show my potential client, but I also role play with my assistant. We'll sit down and we'll banter back and forth, and she'll shoot me out some questions that she may think the sellers may give me, and just so I come across as prepared as possible.
I'm also focused on how am I going to connect with them based on their personality and their goals for what they want to accomplish in this transaction. But every once in a while, you got to turn on some good, fun music too to get your brain in the right place before you sit down with the seller.
Prior to walking in the front door for a listing appointment, I want to be sure I'm in the right frame of mind. It's always a job interview, and you just don't ever want to be caught off guard or be unprepared for it. So I think the more you can be prepared for it, the better off you're going to fare in that listing appointment. But you want to be on time. You want to have all your information there. You want to look the part. You want to look professional. You want to act professional. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's about forming a relationship. And I think if you walk through that front door, just trying to get that listing agreement signed and walk out the door, it's a huge mistake.
I tend to be pretty empathetic, and so understanding their particular situation and making sure that I'm really present and in the moment, and it's not just another listing presentation, it's just not another house that we're selling, but it's very personal to them, and so making sure that I take a moment to really be present and understand how emotional that this decision and this process is for them.
So she brings up a good point. This might be like a family's first time selling a house, and they might be really sad about it, right? So you have to be there and show empathy and guide them through it and tell them everything's going to be okay. You know, that we're going to find a good family for your house or good new buyers for your house. Because maybe they want a nice family to buy their house, right? Because they want someone to share this type of memories that they shared with their family. So you're going to have a lot of different mixed emotions. There's some people that might just they might just think about the money. Hey, let's sell it. Let's get the most money for it, whatever. But then there's somebody to be emotional about it. So that's another thing you have to be ready for. And that's something that they haven't talked about before. The emotional part of it is that maybe somebody passed away and they have to sell it because, you know, they can't live there on their own, whatever the reason may be. So these are all things you have to consider, right? But with that being said, I think we're done here. Is there any questions?
That was good.
No questions? Okay. So I will see you guys next week. Next week's topic, next week's topic is the listing process. Like, what do you do after you get the listing agreement signed? Like all the things you have to do, put in the MLS and market, all that stuff. But I'm thinking of doing like a kind of like a little, listing presentation workshop where you guys sit with each other and, one's the buyer, one's the seller, one's the agent, and you go through and ask the questions and kind of like a role playing situation. What do you guys think?
And usually being uncomfortable.
Yeah?
Right.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that next week. We'll just so I guess homework, right, for next week is come up.
I don't know what it is.
For those of you that want to do it, come up with a listing presentation. Just pick any property on the MLS and then come up with some comps. Just other properties that are similar to it, and then come up with the suggested list price. You don't have to do the whole CMA thing, but just something that you have an idea of, right? That you can show evidence of. Hey, these are the recent sales. This is how much I think your home.
You email us a property and let's see if we all end on the same price.
I can email you guys.
For that
Yeah, I can email you guys property. You guys want me to do that? Okay. So she's like, I'm not coming. You can send it. I'm like, but anyway, and then just come up with the marketing plan, and you guys can use this as a starting point for your marketing plan as to like what you're going to do to market the property. and how much you're gonna charge. And then for that price, for that commission that I'm asking for, I'm doing all these things for you, right? And just as an example, things that I'm gonna do for you is, I'm gonna put a for sale sign on the front lawn, I'm gonna hold open houses. Well, for that, I have to buy open house signs, right? But I'm gonna do open houses on, for the first 3 weekends or whatever, Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to, hire a professional photographer that I'm paying for out of my pocket to take pictures of the property. I'm having flyers printed out of my pocket, right, that I'm paying for. I'm gonna send out just listed postcards to the neighborhood. I'm gonna walk around to 100 homes around your house and let them know, invite them to the open house that I'm holding. I'm gonna email a flyer of your just listed, property to all the agents in my office. There's also another website called, I think it's fastflyers.com. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a website where you pay like $50 and it emails your listing your flyer to, I want to say, thousands of realtors in Orange County, LA County. That's another thing you're going to be doing. Just list everything. I'm going to put a lockbox on your property so that agents can have access to it. I'm going to be in charge of scheduling the showings, approving the showings and vetting anybody that's going through there. Those are just some starting points. That's a lot though. So, yeah. And then, come up with a suggested list price and then sit down with each other and just go through the process. One's gonna be the homeowner, the other one's gonna be the agent, and then you reverse roles and just to practice, just to get an idea of what it can. I mean, we can all listen if you guys want, so 2 people do it like at a time, or we could just split off in twos and, I think it'll be a little less.
Intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating, do it that way.
Maybe we have mimosas.
Maybe we can have mimosas, that's a good idea. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
I hear you.
Bye.